Good afternoon. Hi, how are you guys? I forgot to send a video yesterday, so might mean that we have to do 2 today. Or maybe 2 chapters. Will that be good enough? We'll do 2 chapters, okay? I hope you guys are doing well. I love hearing from you on Google Hangouts and Google Classroom and all that, so keep it up, because I love hearing from you. And I got my first written response emailed to me today, so that was exciting. All right, so when we left off, Savannah has now been recruited. She doesn't know that she's being recruited. She's kind of really good with animals, so they are trying to get her to figure out how they can get past Luther, the guard dog, at the Emporium. And they're doing all this surveillance, all these things before to make a really good plan. So they don't get caught. Okay? Alright, so this is the beginning of chapter 9. For Griffin, watching a plan coming together was like completing a jigsaw puzzle. It started as a flimsy frame on the outer edges, then slowly the pieces filled in until the final image began to appear. With the baseball card heist, however, the finished picture was marred by a gaping black hole named Luther. It was Savannah's 4th meeting with the Doberman, and the girl was still baffled. I don't understand it, she confessed, leaning against the fence outside Palomino's Emporium. I fed him, soothed him, talked to him, reasoned with him. I watched The Horse Whisperer twice last night, hoping for inspiration. Maybe you should watch The Dog Whisperer, Ben suggested glumly. I've already TiVo'd the entire season, she replied earnestly. Nothing helps. I never thought I could write off an innocent animal. But I have to admit it, this dog is beyond my reach. Griffin was stricken. You're giving up? No, you can't. She shrugged helplessly. Believe me, it doesn't make me happy. But what choice do I have? She indicated Luther on the other side of the fence. Look at his eyes. There's no let-up in the anger. Not even any curiosity about me. This is my 4th night here. But to him, I'm just an intruder. Griffin was devastated. You can't quit now, he moaned. Please, please, give it one more shot. Savannah's look of disappointment morphed into deep suspicion. Wait a minute. I know you guys. You're not getting this worked up over a dog. What's this really about? Griffin hesitated. The more people who were in on the conspiracy, the greater the chance that one of them might slip something or let something slip. But he had no choice. Without a dog whisperer to neutralize Luther, any plan would be doomed. There was no way to sugarcoat it, so he told her straight out. We need you to calm down the dog so we can break into the store and steal a baseball card. Savannah's jaw dropped out open in shock, so Griffin quickly stammered. It's not as bad as it sounds. We'll give you a cut of the money. Her face burned bright red with fury. I cannot believe you just said that. You want me to help you pull off a robbery? You're either crazy or you think I'm crazy. I'm telling my mother. I'm telling Mr. Palomino. I'm telling the police. As her voice rose, she gestured wildly, and a couple of fingers penetrated the chain-link fence. Like a shark smelling blood in the water, Luther snapped at her hand and would have taken off both digits if Ben hadn't pulled her back from the gate. Her rage doubled. Savannah wheeled on the Doberman. You miserable, mangy waste of dog food! How dare you do that to me? I've shown you nothing but kindness, and this is how you behave? You don't deserve to be an animal. Rabies would be too good for you. You should be put in a rocket ship and blasted to Alpha Centauri. You evil, soulless, ill-tempered, psychopathic canine. Griffin and Ben were frozen in shock at the sudden change in their classmate. Never had they heard such a tirade, and certainly not from soft-spoken, level-headed Savannah Drysdale. But the boy's reaction was mild compared to the effect of the outburst on Luther. The lunging beast tumbled off the fence as if it had suddenly become boneless. It dropped to its belly and began groveling towards Savannah, wagging its tail, whimpering, gazing up at her with soulful, pleading eyes. Savannah? Breathed Ben. Look. I'm never going to forgive you guys for this, she hissed. Do you think I wanted to take a proud, glorious animal and break his spirit? It's okay, Griffin insisted. This is exactly what we were hoping for. Now you see where crime gets you, she said. Not only are both of you going to jail, you forced me to go against everything I've ever believed in. I've destroyed this beautiful dog. This beautiful dog almost ate 2 of your fingers, Ben reminded her. Savannah, listen, Griffin said. We're not criminals. That card is rightly ours. I don't care, Savannah interrupted, hotly. I'm leaving. She reached through the fence and stroked the dark fur behind Luther's neck. I'm sorry, boy. I didn't mean to do it. The Doberman rolled over, presenting its belly to be tickled. Griffin was desperate. Fine. You can leave. You can even hate our guts, but please don't tell anybody what we're planning. No fear of that, Savannah said clearly, both angry and hurt. As far as I'm concerned, you 2 nut jobs don't even exist anymore. If you want my opinion, you should both seek mental health. She kissed Luther through the fence, promised, I'll come back to visit you, sweetie. And she stormed off into the night. Griffin watched her walk away. Well, he said, that could have been a lot worse. Ben gawked at him. I hope you're kidding. Think about it. You took care of the dog and promised not to. She took care of the dog and promised not to rat us out. What more could we ask for? Luther tossed them a baleful look and trotted off into the shadows near the store. Ben was unconvinced. I don't know, Griffin. He doesn't look so taken care of to me. What if the dog whispering only works for Savannah? Griffin shrugged. You saw how to handle him. If he gets uppity, you have to yell and scream and threaten to send him to Alpha Centauri. I've got the special feeling in my gut, and it says the time is to act is now. Ben frowned. Griffin's gut was as reliable as Old Faithful when it came to choosing the right time to put a plan into action. Only, we're not ready yet, he protested. The plan isn't even finished. We still don't have a way to get past the deadbolts and into the store. Oh, yes, we do. The man with the plan could not suppress a smile. Remember that 5th grade project on the Trojan War? Chapter 10. On October 10th at exactly 5:30 p.m., S. Wendell Palomino left the store and drove off in his Honda Element. He never noticed 2 furtive eyes peering out of the narrow alleyway at the end of the block. A moment later, Griffin teetered onto the sidewalk, struggling with the heavy laden hand truck. Balanced on the cargo ledge was a large crate that might have held a 33-inch TV. It did not hold a 33-inch TV. There was a grunt of pain as the hand truck bounced over a spot of broken pavement, and a voice from inside the box hissed, "Watch it!" Griffin said nothing. In the Trojan War, talking to the warriors hidden inside the wooden horse was a definite no-no. Twisting his neck to see over his shoulder, he backed down the street and peeked into the open gate in front of Palomino's Emporium. Perfect. No customers. Tom Dufferin was alone, tidying up the sales counter. Griffin frowned. The assistant manager had a clear view of the door. Come on, he thought. Move. A minute passed, then 2. Sweat formed on Griffin's brow. How long could he stand here before someone noticed a 1,000-pound crate in the care of an 11-year-old delivery man? At last, Dufferin picked up an armload of comics and headed to the display case at the back of the shop. Now! Griffin nearly dislocated both shoulders, tipping the load so he could roll it again. Ears roaring, he hauled the shipment in through the gate and set it down at the entrance. Uh-oh, the hand truck was stuck under the weight of the container. He couldn't budge it. What's going on? Came the urgent whisper from the box. What's all that shaking? Shh, Griffin hissed. Inside the store, Dufferin had finished shelving the comics. In another few seconds, he'd be back in the front. Griffin marshaled his strength and gave a mammoth yank. With a screech, the cargo ledge pulled free. One of the metal handles whacked him in the mouth, and he staggered backward, tasting blood. Reeling, he scampered out through the gate. It had been close, but he had made the drop-off. The operation had begun. Tom Dufferin frowned at the bulky crate that had suddenly appeared at the door. He hadn't heard the delivery truck. It must have come in the last few minutes, when he'd been in the back. He examined the brown paper that covered the wooden frame. It bore the address of the shop and a message. Attention, S. Wendell Palomino, personal and confidential, to be opened by addressee only. With a shrug, Tom dragged the heavy container inside. Idly, he wondered what was so special that Palomino himself had to open it. Printed matter, probably, judging by the weight. Sometimes somebody's lifelong collection of comic books or magazines. He set the store's alarm, stepped out, and locked the door behind him. Whatever it was, the boss could deal with it when he arrived the next morning. On the other side of the glass, the paper moved ever so slightly. The rustle of nervous breath came through the air holes. There were times that Ben Slovak wished he had an ordinary best friend instead of the man with a plan. An ordinary best friend never would have convinced him to shut himself in a TV crate to get inside Palomino's emporium. That was definite. As Trojan horses went, the crate was a cramped affair. Ben was the smallest kid in the 6th grade. Still, he had to lie on his side with his knees pulled up to his chest to fit into the small space. No pain, no gain, he reminded himself. This is for $1 million. For some reason, the money didn't seem quite real to him. Helping the Bings, saving them from having to sell their house, that was the real deal. He'll do anything not to lose Griffin, but $1 million for a baseball card? Science fiction. Yet the weight of all that cash closed in on him as relentlessly as the frame of the crate. Stealing something worth $1 million was the same as stealing the million itself, wasn't it? On top of everything else that made him uneasy about this caper, he couldn't escape the feeling that they might be committing a very serious crime. He peered through the gloom of his watch. 6:03. Sundown was supposed to come at 6:57. After that, the plan added 30 minutes more to let it get dark, but by that time it would be impossible to read the dial. Count, Griffin had instructed. Easy for him to say. 87 minutes equaled 5,220 seconds. But hey, now it was 6:05. The first 120 seconds were already over. He could start at 1:21, 1:22, 1:23. Just before 200, he was aware of the first yawn. Stop it, he commanded himself. Nobody falls asleep in the middle of a heist. Yet as he counted doggedly on, he could feel his eyelids getting heavier, the way they always did. No, not here, not now. He had barely reached 500. 5:29, his voice filled the empty store. 5:30. This was crazy. Fear alone could be keeping him awake. Did Achilles get caught napping inside the Trojan horse? 801, 802. He actually counted 803, but he was no longer awake to hear it. Oh, it's hard to do a plan when he's asleep in the crate. All right, so we're on to chapter 11, and I will send that to you guys tomorrow. All right, I will talk to you guys later. See you soon.